The rain pounded against the windows of our family's colonial mansion as I watched my father throw my belongings onto our meticulously landscaped lawn. Each item landed with a dull thud in the growing puddles. My laptop bag, containing months of carefully crafted code, folders full of business plans and market analyses, even the framed photo of my late grandmother, the only person who'd ever truly believed in me. "Get out, you're useless." Dad's voice thundered across our upscale Newton Heights neighborhood, where every house told stories of old money and carefully maintained appearances. No son of mine will waste his life playing with computers while throwing away a real career. From the covered portico, my mother stood wringing her hands, her tennis bracelet catching the light from the foyer chandelier. She wore the same expression she'd had at every country club dinner where I'd failed to meet their expectations, pained embarrassment masked by social grace. Behind her, my sister Victoria leaned against the doorframe in her tailored Chanel suit, a smirk playing at the corners of her perfectly painted lips. "James," my mother's voice wavered, barely audible over the storm. "Perhaps we should discuss this when everyone's calmer." "There's nothing to discuss, Margaret," Dad cut her off, his face flushed with the particular shade of rage I'd grown familiar with over the past 2 years. He had everything laid out perfectly: Harvard Business School acceptance, junior partnership track at Harrison and Mitchell, connections with every major real estate developer in Boston. And he throws it all away for what? Some ridiculous computer program. I bent to retrieve my laptop bag from a puddle, silently praying the waterproof case had protected its precious contents. 2 years of work, thousands of lines of code, and an artificial intelligence system that would revolutionize commercial real estate management, all of it contained in this dripping leather bag that my father had just tossed aside like garbage. "The tech industry is unstable," Victoria chimed in, her voice carrying that particular tone of condescension she'd perfected since making junior VP at Morgan Stanley. "We're just worried about your future, little brother. Not everyone has the capability for real business. Maybe this is a sign you should accept your limitations." Lightning flashed across the sky, illuminating the sprawling grounds of our family estate. 3 acres of perfectly manicured lawn, tennis courts, and a guest house bigger than most people's homes, all symbols of the Mitchell family's success in traditional real estate development. Success they expected me to inherit and continue, not challenge with new technology. "Dad, please." I tried one last time, rain dripping from my hair into my eyes. "The prototype is almost ready. The AI system can analyze property values, predict market trends, and optimize building management with 99.8% accuracy. Just give me 6 months to dash." 6 months. He barked out a laugh that held no humor. "You've wasted 2 years already on this fantasy. No more. Either accept the position at Harrison and Mitchell or get out. The real estate industry needs real businessmen, not some computer geek playing entrepreneur." Victoria stepped forward, her Louboutins clicking on the marble steps. "Listen to Dad, Andrew. The position at Harrison and Mitchell comes with a corner office, company car, country club membership. Why would you choose this hobby over that?" My mother touched my father's arm, her diamond rings glinting. "James, maybe if we just review his business plan. Dr. Phillips next door mentioned something about his son's tech startup selling for millions." "No." Dad shrugged off her hand. "I won't have a Mitchell reduced to begging for startup funding like some common Silicon Valley dreamer. We build real businesses, Margaret. Brick and mortar. Steel and glass. Not computer games and fantasy algorithms." I grabbed my duffel bag, heavy with clothes and the few personal items I'd managed to pack before security had escorted me from my room. The room I'd grown up in, where I'd spent countless nights coding while my family assumed I was just avoiding social obligations. "And don't even think about coming back when this fails." Dad called after me as I headed for my car, a modest Toyota Camry that had been another source of family shame. Why drive this when they'd offered me a BMW M5? "Harrison and Mitchell won't wait forever," Victoria added. "Though I'm sure Daddy can still smooth things over with the partners. If you apologize properly." I loaded my bags into the trunk, each movement deliberate despite the rain soaking through my clothes. Through the storm, I could see my father's face in the warm light of our family home, the home he'd bought with profits from Mitchell Global Properties, the company his father had started and he'd grown into one of Boston's largest real estate development firms. "Your trust fund is suspended until you come to your senses," he shouted as final parting shot. Let's see how long you last without family money. If he only knew about the meeting I'd had yesterday with tech venture capitalists from Silicon Valley. About the prototype demonstration that had left them speechless. About the term sheet sitting in my waterproof laptop bag, offering $50 million in initial funding for my AI property management system. I drove down the curved driveway, past the imported Italian fountains and the security gate with its ornate M monogram. In my rearview mirror, I caught a final glimpse of my family. Dad already turning away in disgust. Mom, dabbing at her eyes with an embroidered handkerchief. And Victoria, phone in hand, probably already spreading the news of her brother's disgrace through their social circle. My phone started buzzing before I'd even reached the main road. Victoria, don't embarrass us further by telling people your family. Mom, please reconsider Harrison and Mitchell. We only want what's best. Dad, your credit cards are cancelled. Time to learn about real-world consequences. I turned off the phone and focused on driving through the storm toward my apartment in Somerville, or that dangerous area as my mother called it. The space was barely 500 square feet, but it had everything I needed. Fast internet, room for my development servers, and most importantly, freedom from family expectations. The apartment building's fluorescent lights flickered as I carried my wet belongings up 4 flights of stairs. No doorman, no valet parking, no concierge service like the luxury buildings Mitchell Global Properties developed. Just basic shelter and the space to build something revolutionary. Inside my apartment, I immediately opened my laptop, saying a silent prayer of thanks when it powered up normally despite its earlier soaking. On the screen was my company's simple logo, Atlas AI Properties. Below it, an email from the lead investor I'd met with yesterday. Demo exceeded all expectations. Full funding approved $50 million initial investment with option for additional $100 million based on milestones. Paperwork ready for signature tomorrow morning. Congratulations on building something extraordinary. I smiled, thinking about the real estate empire I was about to build right under my family's nose. They thought I was developing some simple property listing app or building maintenance software. In reality, I was creating an AI system that would transform how commercial real estate was valued, managed, and developed. My phone buzzed again on the kitchen counter. After drying my hands, I checked the message, this time from my real estate agent confirming tomorrow's closing. The first acquisition in my carefully planned strategy. The purchase of 100 Federal Street, the downtown office building that housed Mitchell Global Properties headquarters. Dad always said real estate needs real businessmen. He never considered that the future of real estate might need someone who understood both business and technology. Someone exactly like his useless son. I spent the night finalizing the AI system's code, fueled by coffee and determination. Lines of complex algorithms filled my screens, algorithms that could analyze thousands of market variables simultaneously, predicting property values and optimal management strategies with unprecedented accuracy. Tomorrow I would sign the papers that would set everything in motion. In less than 2 months, I would walk into my father's office not as his failure of a son, but as his company's new landlord. The rain continued outside my small apartment window, but I barely noticed. I was too busy building the future they thought I couldn't handle. On my desk sat the one photo I'd managed to save from the rain, my grandmother on the day she'd given me my first computer. Some people build empires with bricks, she told me. You'll build yours with bytes. She was the only one who'd seen past the family's traditional expectations to recognize something different in me. As lightning flashed outside my window, illuminating the Boston skyline, I thought about how right she'd been. The Mitchell family had built their empire with steel and concrete. I would build mine with silicon and algorithms, and in doing so, change the very industry they thought they ruled. Little did they know, being kicked out of the family home wasn't the end of my story. It was just the beginning of their education in underestimating the useless son they'd thrown away. 2 months could change everything. Atlas AI Properties had transformed from a promising startup into a silent giant in commercial real estate, though few people knew who really controlled the company. I'd kept my name out of the press, operating through a complex web of holding companies and private trusts, each layer carefully constructed to obscure the real owner's identity. The morning of the revelation, I stood in my private office on the 45th floor of what used to be the Sterling Tower, now renamed Atlas Tower after our acquisition. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a panoramic view of Boston's financial district, including the building that housed Mitchell Global Properties. My worthless AI system had just closed its 20th major property acquisition, bringing our portfolio value to over $4.2 billion. My modest Toyota Camry still sat in the CEO's parking spot, a deliberate choice that made the luxury cars around it look garish rather than impressive. Some of those cars belonged to executives I'd hired from my father's competitors, experienced professionals who'd recognized the revolutionary potential of our AI system and jumped ship to join us. Mr. Mitchell, Sarah, my executive assistant, appeared at the door. She'd been with me since the beginning, one of the few people who knew my true identity. Everything's prepared for the Mitchell Global Properties meeting. Your father's entire executive team is gathering in conference room A. I adjusted my Tom Ford suit, a far cry from the shabby clothes my family had mocked. And the documentation? All here. She handed me a thick leather portfolio. Lease renewal terms, building upgrade requirements, and the notice about the 300% rent increase. Also, your sister Victoria just arrived. She's been telling everyone how she'll handle the negotiations with Atlas Properties' mysterious CEO. I smiled, remembering Victoria's latest text. Don't worry, Daddy. I'll save the family business like always. These tech people don't understand real estate. The security feed on my desk showed the conference room filling up. My father sat at the head of the table, still commanding respect despite the worry lines around his eyes. The past 2 months had been hard on Mitchell Global Properties. Their outdated management practices were losing them clients to more technologically advanced competitors. Competitors who used Atlas AI's property management system. Victoria stood beside him, pointing at something on her tablet, probably the presentation she'd prepared to convince Atlas Properties to maintain their favorable lease terms. She wore another expensive suit, her diamond bracelet catching the light as she gestured. The same bracelet she'd flaunted at the family dinner where she'd called my business plan delusional. They're ready for you, Sarah announced. Should I introduce you as Atlas Properties CEO? No, I replied, picking up the portfolio. Let them figure it out themselves. They'll make sure the cameras are recording. I want to preserve this moment. The elevator ride to the conference floor gave me time to reflect on the past 2 months. While my family thought I was probably living in some cheap apartment, licking my wounds, I'd been executing the most aggressive expansion in commercial real estate history. Atlas AI Properties now owned 60% of the premium office space in 3 major cities, all managed by my revolutionary AI system. More importantly, we'd proven what I tried to tell my father that rainy night, that artificial intelligence could transform property management. Our buildings operated at 40% lower costs with 99% tenant satisfaction rates. Traditional firms couldn't compete with our efficiency and precision. The conference room doors opened silently. Every head turned as I walked in, but there was no recognition in their eyes. Why would there be? They were expecting a powerful real estate mogul, not the useless son who played with computers. Where is the Atlas Properties representative? My father demanded, not even really looking at me. He'd aged in 2 months, his hair grayer, his face more lined. The stress of watching his company lose market share was taking its toll. Victoria laughed, that familiar condescending sound. Probably running late. These tech people never understand proper business etiquette. Unlike Mitchell Global Properties where we dash. Actually, I cut her off, setting my portfolio on the table. I'm right on time. That voice. I saw the moment it registered with my father. His head snapped up, eyes widening as he finally looked at the man standing at the end of his conference table. No, he whispered. It's not possible. Victoria's professional smile froze, then cracked like thin ice. What are you doing here? This is a private meeting with Atlas Properties. I know, I said calmly, laying out the documents. That's why I'm here. Atlas AI Properties, to be precise. My company. The silence was absolute. I could almost hear the mental calculations happening behind their shocked expressions. The other executives, many who'd dismissed me as the boss's wayward son, suddenly found their shoes fascinating. Atlas Properties. My father's voice was hoarse. The company that's been buying up premium commercial real estate across the city. The mysterious tech startup that's revolutionizing property management, Victoria added, her face growing pale. The one that just acquired Sterling Tower and half the downtown district. All managed by an AI system. I finished for them. The computer game you thought I was wasting my time on. The same system that's now managing over $4 billion in real estate assets with unprecedented efficiency. My father stood up so quickly his chair toppled backward. This is some kind of trick. You can't possibly. I pressed a button on the conference room controls. The wall screens came to life, displaying Atlas Properties Holdings market valuation and most importantly my name as founder and CEO. Lines of real-time data streamed across the screen's occupancy rates, maintenance costs, property values, all managed by the AI system they dismissed as fantasy. Current market valuation, $4.2 billion, I stated. The AI system you mocked? It's now the most advanced property management technology in the world. Every major real estate firm is trying to license it. Except Mitchell Global Properties, of course. You were too busy telling me I was useless to see the future of the industry. Victoria grabbed my arm, her diamonds cold against my skin. Why didn't you tell us? We're family. Family. I gently removed her hand. Like when you told the entire country club I was having a mental breakdown. Or when Dad threw my belongings into the rain. That kind of family. I opened the portfolio and laid out the new lease terms. Your rental agreement expires next month. The new rate will be market standard, triple what you're currently paying. Additionally, you'll need to upgrade all building systems to meet Atlas Properties' technical specifications. Our AI has very strict standards. Triple? My father sputtered, his face turning the same shade of red as that rainy night. That's impossible. We can't afford. Then I suggest you start looking for new office space, I replied calmly. Though you might have trouble finding anything suitable. Atlas Properties owns most of the premium buildings in the city now. And our AI system has very strict standards for tenants' financial stability. The conference room doors opened again. Sarah walked in with more documents, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. Mr. Mitchell, the other lease terminations are ready for your review. Other terminations? Victoria's voice rose an octave. Yes, I smiled, enjoying the moment of revelation. Mitchell Global Properties currently leases space in 15 buildings across the city. Atlas Properties now owns 12 of them. Our AI system predicts a significant probability of tenant default based on your current financial metrics. My father sank into the nearest chair, the implications finally hitting him. His company's future quite literally rested in the hands of the son he'd thrown out. We can negotiate, he said quickly, his voice losing its usual authority. As a family. No, I cut him off. We negotiated 2 months ago in the rain, remember? Now we do this as businesses. Your company can either meet Atlas Properties terms or find new space. Though I should warn you, our AI system is very good at predicting which companies will succeed or fail. Your current trajectory isn't looking promising. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Victoria, the AI system you called a waste of time? It just predicted 3 major market shifts that your team at Morgan Stanley missed. You might want to update your models. Though given your company's recent performance, that might not matter much longer. As I walked out, I heard the chaos erupting behind me. Victoria was already on her phone, probably trying to save her reputation at Morgan Stanley. My father was shouting about lawyers and family obligations. The other executives were whispering among themselves, no doubt updating their resumes. Sarah fell into step beside me as we walked back to the elevator. Your mother's called 4 times already. Right on cue, my phone buzzed with another text from her. Please, we can work this out as a family. Come home for dinner tonight. Let's discuss this properly. I typed back a simple response. Family? No. From now on we're just business. The new lease terms are non-negotiable. The rain was falling again as I walked to my Toyota, still parked in the CEO's spot. Some things had changed dramatically in 2 months, but some things, like the satisfaction of proving yourself right, stayed the same. Atlas AI Properties continued to grow, transforming the real estate industry while my family's company struggled to adapt. They eventually met our terms, becoming just another tenant in my growing empire. Victoria left Morgan Stanley to start her own firm, but without access to our AI system, she couldn't compete effectively. My father stepped down as CEO 6 months later, citing health reasons. And that Toyota? I kept it even after buying the building. Sometimes the best revenge isn't showing off your success. It's letting them slowly realize just how badly they misjudged you. After all, success isn't about proving others wrong. It's about proving yourself right. And sometimes, the quietest revolution is the most satisfying one of all. The rain kept falling on Boston's financial district, but inside Atlas Tower, the future of real estate was being built by the son who refused to be useless.